Yes, it's the Finnish Football Show. I'm Mark Wiltshire from Explore Finland. Thanks for joining us for another episode. We've got a full squad today and a special guest coming in on loan just for this episode. We're going to be today looking at the launch of the Veikkausliiga season. The first few rounds of games have been played. Rich is insisting that we talk about the Suomen Cup final. I'm not quite sure why he's so excited about that. We'll touch a little bit on the World Cup draw for the Helmarit and also Teemu Pukki's injury. But I think the most important thing to kick off with is Euro 2020 ticket situation. So I mentioned our loan signing for today. We're joined by Jussi Hartikainen from the Suomen Joukkueen kannattajat. Sorry, Jussi, the SMJK, the Finland national team supporters club. Hi, Jussi.
Hello. You can just call us Pohjois-Karre if it's easier.
Pohjois-Karre works as well. Yeah, okay, that's good. Yeah. Thanks. And I'm joined also by Keke. Hi, Keke.
Hey.
And by Rich.
Hello.
And by Mark.
Hi. Full
team. Jussi, you should be quite honoured. The last time we had a guest on that got all of us here, it was when Lucas Radetzky joined us. So you're in good,
watched that
good
episode
company.
And it was a good one. It was a good one. Thank you.
Did you have any props or a mask or anything that you plan to bring to the party, or?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Just myself. I'm enough.
That's good enough. Good enough for us as well. Okay. So there's been, let's start the traditional way to start a game, which is blowing the whistle. And the first half kicks off with the news section. And there's been a lot of chat between the Finnish Football Show team about what's going on with their tickets this year. Keke and Mark particularly had multiple trips planned. Keke, do you want to just tell a little bit about how it's been from your perspective, first of all?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, last time we spoke, I hadn't been able to bring myself to apply for a refund from UEFA. I still had some small hope that I would make it to some of the games, and but yeah, UEFA decided to step in and cancel my tickets for me. I mean, we'll obviously speak to Jussi, and he might be able to explain a bit more. But due to the ongoing situation with COVID and the reduced capacities in some of the host cities and host stadiums, I believe it must be to do with the social distancing and the reduced capacity. But UEFA basically entered all the tickets that had been sold into a ballot and drew them out of hats, and some people held on to their tickets and others had their tickets revoked and were sort of given a refund, but it's sort of non-negotiable. That's the luck of the draw. But so yeah, it's obviously the SMU core guys, the chat that was going around was, check your UEFA account, see what's happening. So I duly logged in, and there it was, ticket to be refunded. So I guess in some ways that I don't have to panic anymore. The decision was made for me, but I won't pretend that I wasn't upset. I mean, it was going to be very difficult for me to make it to Denmark, what with the travel restrictions, but just to see it actually there, rubber stamped. They've taken that ticket away after working so hard to get hold of it. It was it was a bit of a bitter pill to swallow. But yeah, if we want to bring, you'll see, I mean, SMJ Core have been obviously working really, really hard for people who have lost tickets. There was, I think the expiry date was yesterday, but Jussi can confirm that there was an avenue for people to try and get themselves into the stadium. Do you want to just let us know what that was all about, Jussi?
Sure. We had a call from Palloliitto, the Finnish FA, about how some of their partners hadn't, out of fear of COVID or whatever, hadn't taken full advantage of the capacity of tickets that they had. and there was still some things going on around there, and they offered some of the tickets to us, because we had been saying to them that if you get any, we will take them. We'll take all of the tickets that you got. And that's the short story of it. And well, we got, I'd say 100, 200 names on the list for the ballots. I'm not even sure how many tickets we're going to get from Palloliitto for this one, but that's going on for the game in Denmark. For the games in Russia, there's a smaller interest and a better chance of getting the tickets from the ballots, and probably even more tickets to raffle from there. But that's something that's been going on. The ilmoittautuminen, signing in ended last night. So yeah.
Yep.
And now I've given the list to the Palloliitto people, and let's see who gets tickets or who doesn't. I should know more Wednesday, Thursday, something like that, but now I don't know yet.
Do you know how many tickets you have and how many people applied for these available tickets?
About 150 people applied for the tickets. I don't know how many tickets we will get. That's something that's not been confirmed. Not as many as that, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And all those tickets were from category 1 and 2. So as when we applied for the tickets for the first time in December 19, and we told our people to apply from category 3, so that we would have a unified stand wherever we were placed in the stadiums. But yeah, now we're getting some people in the category 1 and 2 as well.
So this explains why, Keke, you said that tickets of a lower price were refunded and now being offered these more expensive tickets. It's to do with the category.
Yeah. I mean, that was something that sort of stuck in the throat a little bit, but I mean, far be it from me to accuse UEFA of refunding cheaper tickets and then all of a sudden finding some more expensive ones to sell. But I just think, exactly as Jussi said, like the whole point of the SMJK is for vocal support, to go and support the team, for everybody to be together to make the biggest and most visible spectacle that they can. But obviously, due to this pandemic now, people are going to be sort of dotted all over the stadium. But I mean, there's people, those category 1 and category 2 tickets, I think, what are they used to, maybe 125 euros or something like that?
Yeah, that was for the category 2 and 185 for category 1. Yeah. Yeah,
compared to the ticket that I bought, I think it was something like 50 euros for the original category. But people are they still want to go, obviously, so they're gonna put their name down for those tickets, and I don't blame them. If there's any way that they can go, then fair enough.
Mark, what's been your experience?
Well, I mean, weirdly, I haven't really had that much of an experience, because there's been no change for my tickets. I got some updates from UEFA directly about, when the refund portal was open, and then, what the general policy change was. But I've had no idea, no notification really from anybody that I should do anything or that anything's changed. We did give back a couple of the tickets because it was a group of us, and we decided we'd originally got tickets that was follow the team all the way to the final. Now given that we couldn't predict, which cities we'd end up in for the latter stages of the tournament, or what travel would look like, and plus the fact that particular option was money on the visa, we decided to take the money back and just stick with the tickets that we had. And then if as the tournament progressed and things looked all right, we could then maybe try and wangle tickets later on. But I've had nothing from UEFA really, or Palloliitto outside of the generic guidance.
So do you still think you've got tickets then? As far as you're concerned, do you have tickets?
I checked it. I log into my thing, and it doesn't say that anything's coming back. So these are still, as far as I can tell, these are still valid tickets.
What do you think, Jussi? Is that a regular? Is that kind of the experience that other people are having as well?
Well, for some, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what's been going on. UEFA, they haven't informed anybody, not even people in the Finnish FA. Even those guys, they don't know. They just said, when we found out something from FSC, Football Supporter Europe, they said, oh, wow, we don't know that. We have to check from UEFA. And that's something that, well, UEFA holds everything close to heart. But talking about the category 1 and 2 tickets, I'm guessing why we're having those for sale is that, well, the fans, supporters are buying the category 3 tickets and they don't want to return them. And so there's more, and the people who got money to spend were not so serious about it. They bought the tickets to category 1 and 2 and then saw that COVID is on. I'm not sure if I'm going to get into Denmark in next 3 months' time. So I'm going to just return it and watch it from telly at home. So that's one of the reasons why I'm thinking that there's not so much bad spirit, bad luck going on with UEFA on this account. Well, many other accounts, yes, but this one, no.
What about people who, like, if the capacity is reduced dramatically at the stadiums and all of those with the cheaper category 3 tickets turn up, they're not all going to be able to go. So how is that being managed?
That's with the ballot. That's why I'm guessing that in Copenhagen, the capacity is something like 40% of the original one now. So that's one thing there. And there's also the slots for people entering. You have to enter during your own time slots. And I'm guessing those will be like half-an-hour slots between, like, from 2 hours before the kickoff or something like that. And that's something that they're going to be managing. And yeah, I don't know well, we just have to find out.
So the ballots that took place, people got their tickets automatically refunded if they weren't lucky enough to be selected. Like,
yeah,
okay.
That's it.
They're selling plenty of hospitality packages though, so fair play to UEFA. Gravy train still rolls.
But I mean, we were just talking off air there quickly with Jussi about the whole travel scenario. I mean, Jussi was explaining that Finland is already like in this traffic light system, Finland is already an amber country for entry to Denmark. So with
Actually,
you put the
yellow
stick to your nose and
we've got a
yellow. Yellow. So yeah, you take your COVID test, and on production of a negative COVID test, I guess something like 72 or 48 hours or 24 hours before you fly, you can enter Denmark. But I've been checking the UK website. Obviously, if I was going anywhere, I'd be traveling from London here, and yeah, at the moment we are. Denmark don't want Brits. We're forbidden entry to Denmark at the minute. Last time I checked, anyway, a day or so ago. But yeah, obviously, wait and see what happens with that. But
so your travel plans, then, Mark? Where are you going?
Well,
what are you doing, and how's it work for you?
Well, I mean, yeah, we've got the hotels in Denmark were all right at rescheduling us. So we moved the dates back a year for the hotel, which was pretty good. But at the minute, we're now looking at, like, how do we get flights and what does it look like? And I think one of the things that we don't know yet is if we fly. So if you fly direct from Finland, then you're the yellow country and you just need a negative COVID test or a proof of vaccination or something like that. But if you get like a flight through Riga or Munich or Denmark, like, or Holland, I don't know if you need a specific test from that country or if that country's rating affects your landing, because if you have a transit, like if you've got a stop off, I mean, then you can get a flight for a couple of $100. But if you have to go direct, I think the flights are like 600 or something stupid like that. So it's really like, I don't know.
Well, Mark, You do know that SMU Corps have a charter plane, don't you?
Yeah, we have that. Yeah, we have that, and it's well, the first one is sold out, and the second one, well, the first one was with cooperation with Elämysmatkat, and now we're planning on working on getting our actual own plane, and we have quite a lot of reservation for that too. So that's something that I can tell more about on Wednesday. It's Monday now, so I know more then. But
so people should check out the Pohjois-Karre website for information.
And
we'll put a link in the blog.
And Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and Futisforum Cox and that kind of stuff. We're going to tell everywhere when we know. But yeah, considering the Mark's question about the stopover, if my correct understanding is correct, you don't need that test from that country. It's if you stay in the airport, it's not counted as staying in Latvia or Germany or wherever. Holland, you're just coming from Finland.
Good. That's a relief. Saves in the wallet.
Yeah. I don't mean to worry you, Mark, but you know the game kicks off in less than 4 weeks' time.
Yeah. I'm a chill guy.
It's really kind of crept up on us all of a sudden, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it'd be a lot easier to plan if UEFA would send us a mail that actually had some good information.
Yeah, I guess as far as they're concerned, it's just well, you book your tickets, you know what's going on, get yourself there.
Yeah, that's their point of view.
So at least a couple of the Finnish football show guys will be together because me and Rich, we've decided to book ourselves a table in a pub. So yeah, we'll be together somewhere.
Hopefully, if they confirm it, yeah, they confirm it. I mean, I say my flights to Copenhagen, I took the early refund because, to be honest, I just thought I back in January, I thought I'm not going to fly to Copenhagen twice in a week. We'll be in a pub in Hammersmith instead. Hopefully with a load of pissed up Finns, still rejoicing from the hockey when that starts.
Nice. Jussi, is there anything else that you want to let people know that people should be aware of about trying to travel?
To Denmark, that's about it. You just need to follow the official Finnish and Danish information channels, and of course British or wherever you are. You need to follow your home country's info. And considering Russia, that's another story. Nobody knows for sure what their requirements for entry are when games kick off, and that's well, I know for sure that we don't need a visa when we got the fan ID, and they already told that people with fan ID are counted as a special group that are allowed entry into Russia during the period of the fan ID, like 29th of May to 12th of July or something like that was the dates. And so, yeah, I know that considering that, I will get into Russia, but I don't know if I will need the COVID test or whatever like that. There's been rumors that you're not going to even need a COVID test to enter Russia, but you will need a COVID test to enter the stadium in St. Petersburg. So that's something, but yeah, Russia is a big question mark. I will be going there by bus from Helsinki with Pohjois-Karre, and that's our main entry method.
The train's running there yet?
No.
Okay.
It most probably will run, but it's not yet confirmed. Yeah.
Jussi, obviously, I guess this information, like you said, it is available from the Finnish Health Service website, etc. But do you know? Obviously, it's hard to predict the future. But returning to Finland from Russia, is there some quarantine period that you need to do?
At the moment, there is, yes, and most probably will be at the time of the games. It's the quick method quarantine is you get the first nose jab entering, you get a clean result. 72 hours after that result, you get a next jab and you get a clean result, and then you're off. But without that, it's a 2 weeks quarantine. So you can make it in 4 days, or you can actually most probably get the first jab done in Russia as well.
Sure.
Very good. Thanks.
I mean, because that's
Jussi.
the kind of thing that I think makes it pretty difficult for a lot of people, to return. It's fine going, but to return home and then, okay, you need to stay isolated for 2 weeks or something and miss work, etc. I think that brings up extra difficulties. But yeah, cheers, Jussi. Thanks for all your information. And obviously, as you said, everyone should keep an eye on all the SM UCOR social media channels and for the information that follows.
Yeah, and we will be putting together a package, like info package, that's going to be live early June, like a week before the games, and that's the timetable for it. And then by then it should be like up to date and correct information that you can get, but you can't put it now because things will change. That's something that we know for sure, that things will change.
Yeah, and
so
we'll
just
put all those links
I think
in sorry, Keke, please go on.
No, I was just going to say, I think just the final word on that is just to say, like, a big thank you to Jussi and Marko and everybody in the SMU core board who are obviously working so hard to make sure that fans can get to the games and safely and get the correct information as soon as it comes out. So I think the rest of us will join me in saying, like, a big iso kiitos to you, Jussi.
Yeah, well done, Jussi.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. Sorry, got a question from my child here.
It's the modern way.
Who are these guys?
When you're on. He's like, why are you talking English to these guys? What's going on? Thanks, Jussi. We'll put the links to all the places people can find Pohjois-Karri online to get all the up-to-date information. And I hope it's useful for people to just hear us asking the questions that they've maybe got in mind as well. So yeah, thanks for joining us. Yeah, and as I said before, the first competitive game in the Euros is on the 12th, so it's less than a month away.
That is true. And it's just a small plug here that the charter flight, it's going to be around 450 to 500 euros between the price from Helsinki to Copenhagen and back. So if I'd say, considering nowadays prices, it's relatively reasonable for a straight flight. But yeah, thank you guys. I think
enjoy your trip or trips.
I will.
You'll see. Good luck, and we'll speak again. I'm sure we will.
Yeah, we will do that.
Okay.
Yeah, the kids are calling. I gotta go.
No worries at all.
Yeah.
Thank
you all. Thank you all.
Kiitos, Jussi. Kiitos.
So just to run through the upcoming fixtures, we're going to do another show maybe next week where we really look in more detail at perhaps the squad and the games that are coming up. But 29th of May is the friendly game against Sweden at 7:00 in the evening finish time, and then on the 4th of June is the home game in Helsinki against Estonia, again at 7:00 finish time. It's very friendly kickoff times. I like this. And then it goes into the three competitive games. So on the 12th of the 6th, again at 7, it's the Denmark game away. And then on the 16th at 4 p.m, beautiful, is Russia away. And then on the 21st of the 6th at 10:00 at night finish time is the Belgium game. I don't know if any of you guys want to say anything else about those fixtures, or should we wait till next week and go through it in a bit more detail then?
Let's do it next week.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and I guess
unless you want to try and say Suomen joukkueen kannattajat.
Suomen maajoukkue kannattajat. I can say I just tripped over my fat tongue.
No pressure.
Mä puhun suomea, mutta en puhu tosi hyvin vielä. So next thing on my agenda was the squad news. Again, maybe we'll look at this in more detail next week. But there is a question here: just how injured is Teemu Pukki?
No one knows.
Well, I was kind of expecting it might be a short segment.
Yeah, I think I mean, it came out before Norwich's last game that he had ankle ligament injury. All the noises have been of that he'll be fine for the Euros, but I mean, this is the point where, you know, we're in the run up to a tournament. I mean, being English, we know all about that with metatarsals and things like that. But you know, no one really knows. And again, the squad, or the working squad, meet up on the 24th for the training camp beginning before the real squad's announced on the 1st. So they're going to have kind of an idea, a working plan of who's going to be in that, I don't know how many, 30, 35, you know, that they'll work off. The assumption is that Pukki will be fine. Perhaps maybe a slight rest will do him some good. But the problem is that the way he plays, you know, we talked about this before, you know, if he's not 100% fit, is he going to be, you know, there are some players who could probably operate quite well at 80, 90%, but the way he's been playing, you know, he's been playing for 3 years now, basically at 100%. But yeah,
he's been in such good form lately.
We've had nothing
well.
official.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is that ankle ligaments, they're usually that's usually a 6 to 8 week.
We're saying until we get something sort of concrete coming out, and I guess it'll be from the Finland squad now.
Mark.
Yeah. So I was just going to say that I think there was a bit of a cut, but yeah, I was just going to say that ankle ligaments is usually a sort of a 6 to 8 week break, which puts him back on his feet, like, and ready to go in like the first week of the tournament, like as the tournament kicks off, which means he's not exactly going to be match fit and sharp. So I don't know. It is one of those things that, you know, maybe he could make a relatively quick comeback and he could be totally fine, but somehow I have a hard time believing it's as good as they think it is.
I've heard that he's sleeping in a cryo chamber and he's drinking shed loads of beetroot juice, so he's going to be perfectly fine by the time the Euros kick off. And
we spoke with Antti Niemi, didn't we, about his company selling the beetroot shots. Yeah, and what's the connection with Pukki?
He's a shareholder now. He's bought into the company. He's like Mr. Remington.
He loved it so much.
What is well, the little press release thing was that it's become part of his routine before the national team game. So it was only right that he give him some money. But I guess he'll be sort of bathing in it, rubbing it into his ankle and everything for the next 4 weeks or so. So it's probably just as well he has shares.
Come out with a bright red beard for the first game.
Also, to any of our listeners, Google yourself a bit of rebeat. It fixes all manner of qualm.
Yeah. To be honest, quite a few of the professionals are using it. You know, like Joona Toivio, he's involved. He's doing shots of this stuff whenever he gets the chance, and I think Jesse Ornen and Lukas Radetsky as well. They're involved. They're getting it down them as well. So
just look at the season Jordan's been having over in Italy.
Who knew? There you go. Who knew that beetroot was so good, eh?
Rich, let's deal with this. There's a reason you're wearing a bright yellow shirt today. Sorry.
Wow.
Let's talk about the Suomen CuPS final.
Oh, glorious. Well, where to begin? 120 minutes of pure total football. Went to a penalty shootout. To be fair, I mean, it was a pretty dull game. 0-0. There weren't many clear-cut chances at all for either side. The highlight was really the red card for the Venezuelan left back. To be fair, had been asking for it. But yeah, I mean, it was as you said, it was a high quality penalty shootout. I think of the 10 kicks, the 9 goals were decent, and yeah, we did have a good old chuckle because at the end of the game they brought on, was it Luis Henrique with in injury time of extra time, his first touch of the ball, and he did the old kind of stuttered run up, and it was saved by Verton. And to be fair, someone produced a heat map on Twitter of his game. It was literally walking from the bench to the penalty spot. But yeah, I mean, it's good. It was great because, I mean, Finland CuPS hadn't won the Cup since 1989, I think it was. And it's one of those things that I think, it sounds a bit patronising, but there are teams in Finland who will appreciate it more. I think, because to some clubs, the Suomen Cup is like it's fine, especially these days. I mean, it's essentially a glorified pre-season tournament now, but the fact is it still carries a European place, albeit the Conference League, and it's it's just a nice bit of silverware to add to the league title from sort of 18 months or so ago, and it's very much appreciated, and it's good. I think the top of the table's already started to take shape, and getting one over the champions or the winner, the holders as well was nice to see. But quality on the pitch, not so bad. But
so which European competition do CuPS go into next year?
Oh, this is the UEFA Conference League. So they're already in it for the upcoming season, but they have become the first team to qualify for the 2022 to 23 edition. So that starts next summer. This is the one that's so weird it makes the Europa League look like the Champions League. It's an odd thing.
I don't want to go down an old man tangent, but when it used to be called the Cup Winners' Cup, you just didn't really ask any questions. It was the Cup Winners' Cup. It was if you won a cup, you were in this cup. It made sense.
But but they've split it now, because now the Cup Winners' Cup is essentially the Europa League, because the cup winners of the top 15 countries go into the Europa League, and then the cup winners from everyone else goes into the Conference League. I'm not sure, but I think there's a way that if you're knocked out early enough of the Champions League, you can drop into the Europa League. Someone will probably tell me I'm wrong. I'm not sure if you can go into the Europa League then the Conference League. But essentially it's the thing that all the top countries are trying to avoid. I think at the moment in England, Arsenal might come 7th, which means Conference League, which would be the worst possible outcome. We'd rather have no European football, because it's the Europa League is suddenly looking a little more appealing.
That's a really interesting point, because I thought that, obviously wrongly, that when UEFA announced this new Conference League, I thought that it was for the so-called smaller nations to have a chance to have clubs in European competition. And then you've got, if it wasn't bad enough that the team who finished 4th in the English Premier League qualify straight away for the Champions League group stage at the expense of champions of so-called lower nations like Finland, Scotland, wherever you want to look. But the team that comes 7th in England goes into the Conference League, against these clubs from so-called smaller nations. I thought the whole point was to give those smaller clubs a chance to play in Europe, but it just, I don't know.
But the winners of this competition get the prize is the group stage of the Europa League the season after, just to reinforce the hierarchy. Because the season coming, obviously, with qualifiers come soon, but you've got CuPS, Honka, and Inter are in the next season competition, the first one. But it's basically what they're doing is taking all the chuff out of the Europa League and putting it somewhere else, so the Europa League has fewer games and, on balance, a slightly higher average quality of team. But again, do we not sticking everyone somewhere else?
Do we not think that this is somehow a bit like the Nations League? Like the small the clubs that get into Europe and get knocked out in the first qualifying round every year now maybe have a chance to progress through something and build a little bit of experience and momentum in Europe.
Yeah, I mean,
I certainly hope so.
Yeah, but I think the difference being though that
it's the same teams that they'd play in the Europa League. Though.
Yeah, you've got like West Ham will be in it. You know what I mean? Somebody like that, and I think it's.
Well, I mean, the smaller teams that don't get a chance in Europe.
It'll still be a big step, I think, for a lot. I mean, it's true. They're not going to get shellacked by Real Madrid or whoever, but I think it's still it's far away from that. I think it's just one of those things. It seems like it's needlessly complicated.
For any team that does draw against West Ham in the UEFA Conference, just take solace from AFC Wimbledon 4, West Ham 1. It was only 2 years ago. I'm sure Keke remembers vividly. I certainly haven't forgotten.
Is that the checker trade?
Yeah, you're still dying.
Doesn't matter.
Just to going back on Rich's point about the Suomen Cup having turned into a glorified pre-season tournament. Before the final kicked off, the CuPS were glorious, triumphant in. The HJK fans put out a big statement or an open letter to the Palolito, sort of urging them to give the Suomen Cup back some sort of credit. I am unfortunately not completely all over what they were asking, but the gist of it was that let's give this cup competition the credit it deserves. It used to be a real crowd puller back in the day. People sort of a bit like the FA Cup's lost a bit of kudos. The HJK fans feel that the Suomen Cup has gone down the same road. So yeah, I mean, I was all over that. I was really interested to see what they were trying to say, and hopefully someone in the Palolito Towers will take a bit of notice.
They have been. There is some levels of trying to improve both the standing and the reputation of the cup. The Palolito have hired Tommy Leivo Jokimaki as kind of an ambassador and some kind of working group to improve things. I'm not really sure how that's going to work when you've got a cup competition that's essentially for around 35, 36 teams, when I think I looked at it quite recently, about 10 years ago, there was something like 300 entrants. Yeah. It's now whittled down by about 90%. So unless you're going to completely rejig the whole format, there's not a lot you can do with that.
Well, I mean, I think the big thing is that, like, so the reason it was popular was the reason that the Veikkausliiga clubs wanted to change it, right? Which is that when you have 300 clubs and like we end up, and what used to happen relatively regularly was that in the sort of second or third round when Veikkausliiga's teams turned up, you'd get, regularly you'd get scores of like 12-13-0 as HJK romped over some pub team. And I think that in one sense, you do think that those games are, they're quite a mismatch, and they're not really like, that's not helpful to anybody. But by the same token, you take away the chances of like MUPA are struggling to reform themselves in any meaningful way, right? Like MUPA, they're quite capable. They're a lower league team, quite capable of a cup run. There's a couple of teams. I mean, Futura here in Porvoo, like they've got no real chance to kind of affect the pyramid of the game. And that's why most fans are checking out of it, because it's only competitive for about 5 or 10 teams. So I think it's I don't think bringing in an ambassador and having a technical discussion about how to make it better is the answer. The answer was already, look, it was kind of an ugly cup, as cups tended to be, but that's what people liked about it.
Okay, we got one more news story before half time. It's a very long first half. We had our loan signing in right at the beginning. We had our extra time before we kicked off. It's all back to front today. But I just wanted to touch on the Helmarit, the Finnish national team, women's national team, and the draw for the World Cup, which kicks the draw. The draw's taken place, and the qualifying games start in September. So Finland has been drawn with Slovakia, Georgia, Ireland, and I guess that's Republic of Ireland, and Sweden. Rich, I think you made a comment about this in our chat.
So this is for the World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. So Sweden were the top seeds in that group, and Finland was second. I mean, the unfortunate thing is, unlike the Euros, the top team are guaranteed to qualify. So, there is going to be a bit more pressure on this, and there's a very convoluted, albeit quite exciting playoff tournament should that be necessary. But I think Finland reaching the Euros whenever it takes place next summer, they're going to play Finland, Sweden, they're going to play Ireland. They're going to have some decent games in preparation. There's the way the calendar has shifted means now that instead of friendlies, they're going to actually have competitive fixtures to warm up for that tournament. And I think Finland, while clearly not in the same sort of category as Sweden in women's football, but I think they should be fairly confident that they'll give them a game. And on the performance in the qualifying for the Euros, shouldn't really need to fear them at all. I mean, as long as they can recognise that, and it looks like something they learned how to play against teams that were on paper better than them. So while they're not the favourites to win the group, I certainly wouldn't put it past them if they get a bit of rub of the green and if things work out nicely for them.
It could have been a lot worse. They missed out on Holland, Germany, the Portugal. They're proper tough teams. We got past Portugal. I think Sweden are on a similar level to Portugal from the last qualification round. So I think it's that's a doable group for the Helmarit.
I don't want to give too much away, but once that group was drawn, our mate Paula, I just dropped her a message and said, "How are you feeling about this?" And in typical confident manner, she was like, "We're going to the World Cup." There we go.
Well. Okay, I can see the referee preparing to blow his whistle for half time, and we've got a new halftime tradition that I think Keke and I kicked off last time, which is begging. We've got the Finnish Football Show store now on TeePublic. We've got merch, and it was nice to see that it's not only been bought by the 4 members of the Finnish Football Show team. Hey, before I do anything else, my new T-shirt arrived just this afternoon. Look at this beauty.
Oh, magnificent.
Now you can support. Now you can support the Hulkajat and support the Finnish Football Show. So, teepublic.com. The link is in the blog post in the show notes. And Keke said that somebody bought an Ilves coloured logo T-shirt. So, whoever you are, we don't know, whoever you are, please wear it to the next game and send us a picture of you wearing it, or put it on Instagram or social media, wherever you want to, and use the hashtag FFS team colours. I'm going to Asiko Hoyiko next Saturday. I'll wear mine. I'll put it out there, and let's see if anyone else has got one. And it'd be awesome if we could see one of these Hulkajat supporting T-shirts at the Euros this summer. Rich, tell a little bit about Buy Me a Coffee.
Well, that's really a kind of donation-based website where you don't get anything for it other than you get to contribute to the running costs of the podcast by buying us. I mean, it's a coffee, but we'll have a beer off it. We'll find some cheap bar in Callio or something like that. And is Callio cheap anymore? I don't know. No, okay. We'll buy a bag of cans instead. And but yeah, it's we've had Farid bought us a couple, didn't he? And one of my listeners from my other podcast, Matt Cunnington, bought us one as well. So that should keep us going for, I think, the first round of the famous Three Kings for the Denmark game. But it's I mean, there's no T-shirts, there's no merch, but it's a nice sort of no commitment anyway, and we're grateful for all support.
Yeah, thanks to Matt this week for supporting us. It is appreciated. Mark, let's move on from the advertising break to our halftime feature of Jasilla Sipuli, and the one that I've gone with from your suggestions is Lennetään Soikuun.
Lentää suihkuun, fly to the shower, which is another colloquialism for being sent off. Yeah, I suppose the closest thing in English would be early bath. But they don't have that many baths here in Finland, so straight to the shower, flying into the shower. Anybody get sent off? Mosha. And lentää suihkuun.
The Finns wouldn't like an early bath in England anyway, because they moan too much about their hot and cold tap.
Putting the heating on in May, it's shocking.
And let's kick off the second half. We said we'd look at the first few rounds of games in the Veikkausliiga. So, Rich, do you want to lead us off here with some of the learnings from the first few rounds?
I think where we are is already after sort of 3.5, 4 rounds. The teams that we thought would be competing for the medals are the 3 teams competing for the medals. The promoted teams have had a mixed bag. AC Oulu have been beaten in all 3 games. KuPS actually won. They won away to Hacker, which was a very good result last week. They won 3-0. Hacker lost all their games, and I think they've only scored 1 goal. So already there's a 3-point gap from the bottom 2. Those 2 teams are looking. I mean, Hacker looked really, really poor last week. I think that was a game they were really looking to win. Timo Werner's had. I mean, he did well to get them up a couple of seasons ago, but last season, it was only a late run of form really that kind of kept them out of the trouble. Other than that, I mean, we've had a mixed bag. I mean, as you can say, Ashiko unbeaten at least after 3 games, and our friends at the Helsingin IFK, I'm learning. They had some good results as well, and the game that we mentioned against Ashiko a couple of weeks ago, they were winning 1-0. Their, how can we put it, tempestuous creative hub Mossa was sent off for something that only he could do. Really, is giving up yours to an empty stadium, which is just genius. And then they went on to concede a late goal. And Mariehamn have been surprising, to be honest. I watched the game, or watched the half. They played Oulu at home, and they scored 3 goals in 5 minutes. I mean, Oulu were dreadful, and they subbed their keeper at half time, and he wasn't injured. But I mean, that sort of little period they had, they looked fantastic. I know we mentioned, or you mentioned in the preview, that losing Adami might have been a bit of a loss to them, but they seem to. I don't know. I think taking him out has probably made the team better. I think he was very much a kind of one-man show, and I think that got proved when he moved to Sweden. I think his coach pointed that out at one point as well. So interesting. I mean, again, we're early doors, and we're already starting to see sort of natural selection, as it were. But it'd be nice to see a couple of new faces. I mean, Mariehamn have struggled in the last 3 or 4 years, so it'd be nice to see them in the top half and giving everyone a game.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that. Sorry, Kika, go.
I was just going to say, as Richard said, the top of the table's just sort of taken on its natural form. But yeah, that Mariehamn are the team that I was going to pick out. Aside from the CuPS result, which you would have put CuPS down to win that really, but they've been really impressive. And their next game is at home to Hacker. So they'll, considering Hacker's form, Mariehamn will be looking to continue their free scoring and put a few past them, I wouldn't doubt. So I think they're probably the one to keep an eye on to see how well they can do this year.
Yeah, I think Hacker are going to struggle a lot. Like they lost. I mean, they at the end of they didn't do that well last season, but they had a really big squad because they brought in like basically every alternative player. And Aero was even I mean decent. He didn't sort of set the world on fire, but he was all right. And it looks like they haven't really brought in any quality players to compete. So they're gonna fight with Oulu for bottom of the pile. But yeah, it's nice to see Asuko win, and then the last thing is that Mushtaq Yagubi sending off. I don't know. I yeah, celebrating a goal in an empty stadium, giving an up yours gesture to an empty crowd, and he's already 3 games in. He's already suspended. You're like, just
There were bigwigs in the stand, I believe, at that game. So he was letting his feelings be known to the management of Asuko. I don't know. I was one of those people experiencing parts of the game from outside a locked stadium, which was essentially pointless, apart from to let the team know that we were there. I've put in the show notes a few pictures that I took and I shared with you guys while we were there. Basically, the outer wall of the Oma Aspe Stadion is like a massive cheese grater. And so like it's abrasive like that. So you have to get close to it and sort of peer through these little holes. And you had to go around one corner to sort of see the goal this end. And you could see about a quarter of the pitch. But when the ball went down the other end, we had to sort of run around the other corner and look through. And there you could see about a third of the pitch in a different direction. It was farcical. And Julian and Tim friends of mine, went to both games to stand outside and shout. I did it once just to say I was there, but I watched the Hoy Afcor game on TV, sat on my sofa with a couple of friends, and we got smashed, which was much more fun than standing outside in the rain. So I know what I'll be doing next time we're locked out of stadiums. I won't be standing outside shouting.
I just want to say one of the you mentioned that though, Mark, but one of the most sort of heartwarming things I've seen so far this season is the Helsinki IFK players going up to celebrate with their fans, the Stadin Kingit, who were as well locked out the stadium, but they'd found themselves a little vantage point. I don't know how much of the pitch they could see, but they'd sort of set up their flags and their other bits and bobs, and they were all there. And then after the match, Matila, he sort of gathered the team and walked them up to the top there, out the sort of back behind the seats, and they led each other in a big old chant. So that was brilliant to see, So obviously the players were aware that the fans were out there, even if they couldn't see the pitch or couldn't see the fans, they heard the noise. So yeah, they made their way up there after the game and showed their appreciation. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, and fair play to the Asuko team. In the first game, a few of them came over to sort of acknowledge us, but we weren't sure how long we should hang around for, and I guess they weren't sure exactly where the noise was coming from. But in the second game, I saw on TV that the whole team went over and sort of almost into the concourse under the stand to sort of acknowledge the lunatics that were out there. So fair play. And I think also honourable mention to in Turku, wasn't it? What game was it? Anyone remember?
That was the TPS opening game against BPS.
Yes.
The fellow in the crane.
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Followed by that weekend was that the game against Hacker? They allowed 6 fans into the stadium. Last weekend, Hiivko had 5 spread amongst the Itakatsamo, which was 100 meters long, and I think they had a block to themselves. I think the rumors were that they could only get their tickets from opening a special chocolate bar, and they were met at the gates by a man in a purple top hat. But it's, some of them have been pushing it a little bit. I think it's just like, we're allowed 6 in, so we're going to have 6 in. There's a lot of differences amongst the regions. And I think this weekend they're starting to open up a little bit more. But it's nice to see some of the creative efforts of the fans. That, I mean, those ASICO ones at the weekend, it was tucked away in a far corner. It looked like they were in some kind of Soviet nuclear Hoover Dam kind of thing. But I haven't been to Oldham for a couple of years, so I don't know what it's like now.
Tonight, so the latest game, in the round, for those listening close to live, was Hoyiko just beat Lahti 2-0, and the Riski brothers both got a goal in that one. But Hoyiko, Aki Rihilahti, friend of the show, had invited Marin, the Prime Minister, in to the stadium for this match to give her a tour and a look around how the organization has been sort of like improved, and how they're pretty confident that if we return to, I think a 30-40% capacity, that everything will be hunky-dory. So hopefully a bit of good press for Hoyiko, for the government, and within the next couple of weeks that we should start to see capacities improving.
There was an announcement today that the fans will be allowed into ASICO on Saturday. I was so busy preparing this show, I didn't get a chance to read it properly, but at least I think season ticket holders will have a chance to get in. So, like I say, I'll be there, and I'll post a few pictures online. Hashtag FFS Team Colours. Remember.
So two big questions from that. A, did Sanna Marin turn up to the game? And B, who does she support?
Well, I think when the Veikkausliiga sent her the open letter on Friday, she replied with the kind of government speak, "I will come when it's safe to do so, blah, 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 blah." Her husband used to play for Tampere United, and I think a couple of other clubs as well. So I'm assuming that it'll be one of the Tampere clubs anyway. But they also offered a free scarf. That would sway me.
I think also we should get back into, as well as looking at sort of recent results and league table, and just start picking up on the top scorers. So although there's only sort of 3 or 4 games played by most of these players, and okay, there's a whole raft of top scorers with two goals so far, but it's and that's probably changed after tonight. There's probably 1 or 2 more just join that group, but a nice long list of 9 people. But I'll give a shout out to Jake Jervis at ASICO because he's playing for ASICO, and it's nice to see someone who scored 2 goals in 3 games, and he also missed a penalty. That's one thing ASICO needs to do, is find someone who knows how a penalty works. So we missed 2 already this season, and that would have added a couple of points.
Get him in the England squad for the World Cup.
I think we're pretty much at the end of the show. There's the whistle. And Keke, you suggested our candidate for following this week.
I did, yes. We, as listeners will know, we're each of us are quite active on Twitter, and over there's a relatively new account on Twitter who sort of came along at the back end of last year, and this guy's concentrating on football from all over the Nordic region. So you get the odd tweet come out about Finland, and but yeah, he's all over Iceland, and yeah, there's news from Sweden, Denmark, Norway, all the I think even Greenland. He's bringing out bits and bobs from Greenland as well. So yeah, if that's your thing, get over to Twitter and follow Nordic Footy. So that is @footy_Nordic, and yeah, there's all sorts of interesting stuff from club badges and team kits and all that to maps of Nordic countries, showing all where the clubs are located, and bits of news coming out as well. So yeah, we've had a bit of had a bit of a chat over there, and I thought, people who are interested in our show might be interested in the wider Nordic region. So give him a follow at @footy_Nordic.
It takes 4 of us to cover just Finland. How does one guy cover the whole Nordics? Does he not have a job, for goodness sake? Okay, I think we're pretty much done. Just a few people that wanted to sort of mention, people who have reached out to us on social media. So we've got our Facebook page, which is for content coming directly from us, so our own podcasts and blogs. Go there first before we share them elsewhere. But you'll also find a link to our Facebook group. We've got over 170 people in the Facebook group now. So join in, follow the kind of news, other stories connected to Finnish football that we share, and feel free, share. We'd love you to sort of start those conversations. And obviously we've got the Instagram page and the Finnish Football Show YouTube channel, which is where you'll find this video and all our previous episodes. But hello to Joe Parr, who reached out on Facebook to ask where to watch Ukkonen games, and Rich, you gave the answer, which was
Ruutu, like pretty much every other domestic Finnish football at the moment. It's all there. Joe was I think he was a convert to Musa via Championship Manager. Okay. I think it's how a lot of people discover Finnish football. So.
That's as good a reason as any. Also, Kari Kallio, who sent a message on Facebook to blow a little smoke up our asses, but he's also an Assikor fan, and he was very complimentary about the Nottojoki show that I occasionally appear on. So that's double plus good from Kari. Thank you. And also Adam Smith too on Twitter, who thought the recent show with just Keke and I featured a very strong performance, even though the FFS squad was a little threadbare. So thanks, Adam. We appreciate you noticing and taking the time to reach out. So, and you can follow one or all of us on Twitter. Keke said we're all very active on there. That's not true. I'm not, but the rest of them are. But you'll find me on @ExploreFinland. Mark, who are you?
@FC Suomi.
And Keke, who are you?
@Keke Mylläri.
And Rich, who are you?
Escape to Suomi.
And I reckon that's just about it for this show. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, which will be in a week or so, maybe 10 days, we'll get the next episode out to you looking at the Finland squad for the Euros. But until then, thanks a lot. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Yep.